Joe Biden, the most popular president ever. He got, I think, 100 bazillion votes. Everyone just loves it. Don't forget about the opinion polls. Forget about the dismal approval ratings he's got. He's the most popular guy ever. And there's really great news coming out of the White House. The White House COVID chief, Ashish Jha, wanted to update us on Biden's COVID condition. And he told us that Joe Biden finished his breakfast like a big, big boy.
He slept well last night. He ate his breakfast and lunch. He actually showed me his plate. Didn't ask about the menu, but I did see an empty plate with crumbs and...
That's good. That's good news that Joe Biden's a big, big boy, and he finished his breakfast and his lunch. And now, if he remains a good little boy, he might get some dessert. Maybe they'll give Joe one of those ice cream cones that he loves so much. Ha, 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 and there's the press laughing. This COVID chief is making a joke about how Joe Biden is senile. That's what the joke is, and that's what the White House is laughing at. The joke is Joe Biden is such a simpleton in his dotage that he can, when he finishes his plate for breakfast and lunch, that's a really big accomplishment. Show me the clean plate. Here you go. Can I have a lollipop? Yes. Ha ha ha. And then the press laughs because everyone knows that Joe Biden is senile, and it's just taken as a fact. No wonder the country is falling to pot. So what is the Biden administration going to do to turn around the country that is collapsing in some part because Joe Biden is senile and missing in action? Let's just look at the economy. The economy is in shambles. It is collapsing. Everything is much more expensive than it was a year ago. It's over 9% more expensive than it was a year ago. People are having trouble heating their homes. Well, they don't have to heat them right now because we have a heat wave going on, but they're having trouble air conditioning their homes. They're having trouble filling up their gas tanks. They're having trouble buying groceries. So what is the White House going to do about this obvious recession that we're heading into? Well, the White House is going to change the definition of recession. That's what they're going to do. This is what they do. I hate to say I told you so. I wrote a whole book about this. How the libs, the primary instrument that they use for changing the political order, is changing all the language. That's why the word marriage matters. They didn't win any debate over what marriage is. They just changed the definition of marriage. That's why the transgender debate matters. They didn't win any debates over transgenderism. They just changed the definition of man and the definition of woman. Now, if you Google it, the definitions are actually different because the libs just try to change reality by artificially altering the meanings of the words. And now they're doing it with recession. This from Jackie Heinrich, Bracing for Impact. Even if Thursday's GDP report shows a second consecutive quarter of negative growth, you won't hear the Biden administration using the R word. Here's what the White House is saying. I got it right off the White House website. Well, some maintain, what is a recession? Well, some maintain that 2 consecutive quarters of falling real GDP constitutes a recession. That is neither the official definition nor the way economists evaluate the state of the business cycle. Put a pause there. Hold on. It's clearly the way that some economists evaluate the state of the business cycle. That's clearly, I don't know if there is an official definition, but that definition that they just gave, that is the definition I've heard for my entire life about what a recession is. 2 consecutive quarters of falling real GDP is a recession. But they say, no, that's not. Who says? Who says? And then the White House concludes, it is unlikely that the decline in GDP in the first quarter of this year, even if followed by another GDP decline in the second quarter, indicates a recession. But it does by definition. That's what a recession is. This is exactly the same argument as when they say, just because a person has 2 X chromosomes and breasts and womb, uterus, and ovaries, that doesn't mean that person is a woman. No, it does. That's exactly what that means. No, but what if it didn't? What if up were down? What if black were white? What if my aunt had testicles? Well, then she would be my uncle. That's what would happen. They just try to change all of the words. So that is a sign of real desperation here because they can't do anything about the economy. Biden has tried every trick. He's released an irresponsibly large amount of oil out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to try to artificially keep gas prices a little bit lower than their record highs up until the midterms. That strategy ends just before the midterms, so it was just a political strategy to stop the bleeding for the Democrats. He's trying that. He's begging Saudi Arabia to release more money. He's trying everything that he can do other than ramp up American energy, which would irritate his base. They're so desperate that now the best thing they can do is just try to change the words. So they're trying to change the words. They're trying to deny reality. They're also now attempting to jail their political opponents. Steve Bannon, the CEO of the Trump campaign 2016, a top advisor to Trump in the White House. He was then kind of booted out of the White House by Trump, and Trump did it in one of those spectacularly Trumpian ways where he referred to him as Sloppy Steve and got into a big fight with him in public. Steve Bannon, though, remained loyal and has remained a Trump supporter. Steve Bannon may very likely be going to jail now. A D.C. jury has convicted Steve Bannon of 2 counts of contempt of Congress. Congress subpoenas Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon resists, and he cites executive privilege, and he cites all sorts of things. And so they prosecute him. This is not often that people will be prosecuted for this sort of thing. And the D.C. jury convicted him, which means that Bannon now faces between 30 days to a year in prison for each of the charges.
I want to thank the jury for what the effort they did, the judge, particularly the court administration here, everybody. I only have one disappointment, and that is the gutless members of that show trial committee. The J6 committee didn't have the guts to come down here and testify in open court. Thank you very much.
So Steve Bannon, triumphant, even as he is convicted and very possibly going to be sentenced to jail time. And it showed one of the real miscalculations here from the libs, which is that this conviction for Steve Bannon, that they're all gloating over and they're saying, ha ha, take that Steve C in an orange jumpsuit. This conviction for Steve Bannon is the best thing to happen to him since he was in the White House. Maybe Steve Bannon goes to jail. Maybe he goes to jail for 30 days or 60 days. So what? Steve Bannon has not been this politically relevant since he was in the White House. And he left the White House sort of in disgrace. Trump was really mean to him on his way out of the White House. And Bannon remained loyal and he kept plugging away. And now he's elevated to this very high position. He is going to go down. He's going to go to the trenches. He's going to be in jail for Donald Trump. So I'm not surprised that Steve Bannon is gleeful there in that press conference. He's probably hoping that he gets at least a week or two in jail just to build up that credibility. And what does this say for Trump? Trump should be thrilled about this too. What this says for Trump is the main threat in the eyes of Democrats. DeSantis as well. I'm not saying DeSantis is not a threat. I think the Democrats are terrified of him. Some other Republicans as well they're probably afraid of. They're always attacking Ted Cruz. I think that is a sign that they do fear Ted Cruz to some degree. Some other, Josh Hawley a little bit too. But Trump is the big one that they're going after. That's why they're trying to jail his campaign staff. Okay? That's why they're trying to take him to court. That's why they're trying to investigate him. That's why they're trying to bar him from running for re-election. If I were Trump, I would be very happy with this news because I'd say, oh, I'm the number one target. Okay, that means I'm the one that they fear. And Trump is going to sell that message. I'm glad you liked that clip. We are so close. We are so close to 1 million views. Then I'll get my big gold play button from YouTube. Then I will put that outside of my office to boast to Mr. Ben Shapiro. And then he will be very, very angry. And then probably at that point, YouTube will just nuke my whole channel, so it'll be a moot point. But bring me there, baby. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. We'll see you next time.